Pastor Dave coming to you with your Monday Mojo. Last Monday in September. Can you believe it? It's gone by so fast. So some of you are looking at me and saying, Pastor Dave, rather spiffily dressed for a Monday morning, and I would say you're right. And that's the kind of comment I usually get when I wear this kind of clothing. I usually wear this kind of clothing for officiating a funeral, an honor and a privilege that I get as a pastor, to walk with families through that kind of time. But I want to tell you, this is the second funeral in 1 week, and I want to tell you a story about something that happened last week. The funeral was done. We got in the cars and in the funeral procession to head from Chapel Hill United Methodist to Crown Hill Cemetery, a rather significant drive through the city streets of Indianapolis. We had a police escort, and we had flags on the cars, and we had the lights flashing, and we drove through Indianapolis, and probably 80% of the cars on the opposite side of the street would pull over and show signs of respect and honor as the funeral procession went by. There was one gentleman at Marian University who was an employee, had his Marian University shirt on and his hat, and he took his hat off and he stood in honor as the family and the procession went by. We went through one neighborhood where there was a guy pretty roughly dressed with his drawers down around his thighs who was walking out to his car, putting something in the trunk, and as the funeral went by, he saluted. So there were a lot of people who showed some real human decency and kindness to a family who was taking their loved one to his final resting place, a place where they're not going to get coffee that afternoon. They're not going to go home and sit at the dinner table with their family. They don't have errands to run. Family that's grieving. Now, I remember a time when I was in Alabama. I was there to do music for a youth retreat, and we were driving down a divided highway, being a significant landmass between the northbound and southbound lanes. And the guy who was driving me pulled the car over to the side of the road. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "There's a funeral procession on the other side." Different kind of understanding and respect in the South than we had in Indiana. I got to thinking to myself, what do we do with that? I mean, there's no law, I don't think, that says you have to pull over for a funeral procession. There's no rule. I don't know, maybe there is. But there is kind of a law of basic human decency. To understand that in the afternoon you can go get coffee, and you are going to go home and perhaps have dinner with your family, and you have errands to run and a life to live and another day of life, and that's a good thing. So whether it's a rule or a law, it just seems to me to make sense that we could show some basic human decency. I know we're busy, we got to get somewhere, and it seems like I got to wait, what is it, a minute? 1 minute? To show decency for a family whose loved one's life story is now over. And the world's a completely different place for them. So I encourage us, let's be kind in that kind of a situation. Anyway, that's your Monday Mojo. Have a good one.